Good morning. I'm Sophie, and today I'm sharing from my house. As you can see behind me, that is my altar. And today I'm sharing on the fourth of the Four Noble Truths. So to recap, I have already shared on the first three of the Four Noble Truths, and for the first noble truth, which is the truth of suffering, we must honestly check our lives and look at our experiences of life to see that indeed there is suffering. And suffering, could be, as the Pali word dukkha, which includes unsatisfactoriness, which means that we will never be ever satisfied with something that we've experienced, or something that we see, or something that we feel. For example, happiness, there's no lasting effect to it. And as such, we get unsatisfied, and we constantly would look for methods to look for this recap this happiness, and as such we will be very unhappy when we do not meet back that same condition of happiness. So there is no such thing as lasting, due to the conditions of samsara, which is ever changing. So that is the first noble truth, which is that we are in suffering within samsara. And the second noble truth is the cause of suffering. And often it is due to the lack of understanding, how things really exist, that we create and recreate the independent self, which is the I, the me, and, mind, everything that is to do with ourselves. And that will lead to sufferings, because due to our selfishness, in seeking to create that happiness for ourselves, we create a lot of conditions that will bring unhappiness to us. So due to because we would want to look for conditions to bring happiness to us and our cravings. So we will crave for good food, for good life, for success, everything that will create the conditions that the stress or the unhappiness that we that we will experience, in seeking all that to satisfy our cravings. And as such, basically, the causes of suffering stems from all our own self-created need to fulfill what we want. And the third noble truth, which is the cessation of suffering, which means that for every conditions that we experience, there is a possibility of ending, whether it's it's suffering, the suffering. So as such, we should not be disheartened that we'll be constantly be in suffering, and there is possibility that we may practice or gain our way out of suffering. It's just as any happiness that we experience, and it's very short-lived. So as such, on the opposite end, when there's suffering, it's also can be short-lived. That's because due to, as I mentioned, the ever changing conditions of samsara, that nothing is everlasting. So just know that your suffering, whatever suffering that you feel, it will come to an end. And so today we'll be talking about the way, to end this, or the way to cessation of suffering, which is the fourth noble truth. The way is basically through training of our body, speech, and mind. And according to Buddha's teachings, traditionally, it is we follow the method of the Eight Noble Truths, which is 1, right understanding; 2, right intention; 3, right speech; 4, right actions; 5, right livelihood; 6, right effort; 7, right mindfulness; and 8, right concentration. For today, I would not go into the Eight Noble Truths, because I will be doing this topic separately. So as such, I will just be sharing that this is the path that traditionally the Buddhists would practice to have, as a way out of suffering. So on the level, I'm actually sharing from Rinpoche's site